remade the offensive staff this year. Dorsey, Dickerson, Tommy Rees. What do you think the idea, the thought behind that is?
I think so much of it is about, and this isn't a surprise, it's about Deshaun. I mean, you just look at, take Dickerson out of the equation. You bring in Tommy Rees to be your tight ends coach, but that's a quarterback guy, right? He played quarterback. He's coached quarterbacks. He's been an OC. Obviously, Ken Dorsey, you look at his background. He worked with Cam Newton. He worked with Josh Allen, and those are different guys than Deshaun Watson. They run differently. You don't want Deshaun Watson playing like those guys because they're like linebackers out there, but a dual threat guy who you can maximize as both a runner and a passer. That's really what Ken Dorsey brings. So everything is focused on Deshaun Watson, and it makes sense because it has to work with Deshaun. There's no other options here. It has to work with Deshaun Watson as your quarterback. So you remake that offensive side of the ball with him in mind. And like I said, I think it's really interesting that you go get a guy like Tommy Rees, who I don't think Tommy Rees tight ends coach, but that's a position that sort of elevates guys. That's where Drew Petzing kind of started and worked his way up. And I think you bring that guy in because he's essentially like another quarterback's coach, too.
Yeah, and young offensive coordinator for Nick Saban in Notre Dame before that. So that, if you think about the guys that have been offensive coordinators for Nick Saban, it was Lane Kiffin, Steve Sarkisian, Bill O'Brien.
Yeah.
Tommy Rees. One of those four is not like, Tommy Rees is significantly younger.
Yeah, but just learning under Nick Saban, right? And learning that culture. And when you talk to players that come from Alabama, they all say the same thing. Like, we learned to be pros at Alabama because that's what that program is like. And the expectations are so high there. If you're a coordinator, if you're a player, whatever it is, Nick Saban only expects the best. So I think that's a really interesting and intriguing hire to kind of go get a guy like that and bring him in. I'm really curious kind of what he does, kind of what his ultimate role is going to be on top of coaching tight ends, what he'll end up doing within that offense. Is he a future play caller somewhere? Could he be an OC somewhere? I don't know. I'm really curious to see where he ends up.